Please, don't hurt him." The tiny voice cut through the rain like a blade. Two grown men froze steel pipe raised mid-swing above a chained pit bull. Then they saw her, a skeletal 4-year-old girl in a threadbare flannel jacket, stepping between them and the dying with arms spread wide. One man laughed. The other swung. The crack of metal against bone echoed through Pioneer Square. Before we continue with what happened next, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now. This story gets darker, more intense, and more beautiful than you can imagine, and you don't want to miss a single moment. When you're done watching, comment with your city name so I can see how far Lily's story has traveled. Now let's go back to that alley, to that impossible moment when everything changed. The pipe caught Lily across her left shoulder, and she went down hard, her small body crumpling against the wet concrete like a discarded doll. The pain was electric, immediate, shooting down her arm in waves that made her vision white out. She'd felt pain before. Hunger was pain, cold was pain, the belt at Beatrice's house had been pain. But this was different. This was the kind of pain that said something inside you just broke. "Holy shit," one of the men said. "Holy shit, Dex, you hit the kid. She shouldn't have been there." Dex's voice was high panicked. "She came out of nowhere." Lily couldn't breathe right. Each gasp felt like swallowing glass. But through the haze of agony, she saw Buster straining against the chain they'd wrapped around his neck. Saw the way the massive dog's eyes had locked onto her. Saw something change in his expression. She'd watched Buster for weeks now, ever since Brick started parking his motorcycle outside Murphy's bar. She'd learned his patterns, his personality. Buster was gentle. Buster let kids pet him. Buster once sat perfectly still while a pigeon walked across his back. This wasn't that Buster. The dog that exploded off the ground was something prehistoric, something that belonged in nightmares. The chain snapped, actually snapped, links flying, and 80 pounds of muscle and fury launched at Dex with a snarl that didn't sound like it came from anything with 4 legs. "Get it off!" Dex screamed. "Get it off me!" His partner, the one Lily had heard them call Slade, grabbed for the pipe Dex had dropped. Lily tried to move, tried to do something, but her body wouldn't cooperate. The world tilted sideways, and she realized she was lying down, the rain falling directly into her open eyes. Then everything happened at once. The bar door crashed open hard enough to crack the frame. Brick emerged like a storm system, given human form, 6'4", 250, of leather and muscle, and barely contained violence. He didn't run. He didn't need to. 3 strides, and he had Slade by the throat, lifting him clean off the ground with one hand. "Buster off." The dog released Dex, immediately trotting back to Brick's side despite the blood on his muzzle. Dex scrambled backward, leaving a trail of torn fabric and skin. Brick's voice was conversational, almost friendly. "You boys picked the wrong dog." "We didn't know he was yours," Slade choked out. "We didn't, not talking about the dog." Brick dropped him, and Slade hit the ground, gasping. "Talking about her." That's when Brick finally looked at Lily, really looked, and something in his face changed. She'd seen a lot of faces in 4 years. Faces that looked through her like she was invisible. Faces that looked at her with pity, with disgust, with the kind of indifference that hurt worse than hate. But she'd never seen a face look at her the way Brick's did in that moment, like she was something precious that had just shattered. Jesus Christ. He was beside her in an instant, his huge hands impossibly gentle as they checked her over. "Jesus Christ, you're just a baby." "I'm 4, Lily whispered, "and a half. Don't move, sweetheart. Don't." His fingers found the break in her shoulder, and she screamed a sound that ripped out of her throat and seemed to go on forever. Brick's jaw clenched hard enough to crack teeth. When he looked back at Dex and Slade, his eyes were empty of everything except purpose. "Hammer, Tiny, get out here." 2 more men emerged from the bar, both wearing the same leather vest Brick wore, both carrying the same barely leashed violence in their movements. They took one look at Lily, and their expressions went flat and cold. "These 2 were stealing Buster," Brick said, his voice perfectly calm. "They hit the kid when she tried to protect him." Hammer, a man with shoulders like a linebacker and a face like a cliff, cracked his knuckles. "Where do you want us to take them?" "The Ravenna spot." "And Hammer, make it last." Dex tried to run. Tiny clotheslined him casually, almost bored, and the man went down hard. Slade had more sense. He stayed on his knees with his hands up, already crying. "Please," Slade begged. "Please, we didn't know. We'll leave town. You'll never see us again." Brick didn't even look at him. You hit a 4-year-old child with a steel pipe. There's no version of tonight where you walk away. Lily watched them drag the two men into a white van with rust around the wheel wells. Some distant part of her brain knew she should feel something about that fear. Maybe her horror. But she'd spent 2 years on these streets. She knew what men like Dex and Slade were. She knew what they would have done to Buster, what they might have done to her if Brick hadn't shown up. She didn't feel bad about what was going to happen to them. What she felt was cold. So cold, her teeth were chattering, her whole body starting to shake. Okay, sweetheart, I'm going to pick you up now. Brick slid his arms under her with the care of someone handling explosives. This is going to hurt. I'm sorry. It did hurt. It hurt so bad that Lily's scream tapered off into a thin wheeze because she couldn't get enough air to keep screaming. But then she was against Brick's chest, his body heat soaking through her wet clothes, and the shaking started to ease just slightly. Buster pressed against Brick's leg, whining low in his throat. I know, boy, I know. Brick's voice was rough. Let's get her. That's when Lily heard it. Sirens. Still distant, but getting closer. Every muscle in her small body went rigid with terror that had nothing to do with broken bones or pain. No, 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 no. Easy, it's okay. No, she thrashed in his arms, despite the agony it caused, pure panic overriding every other instinct. They'll take me back. They'll take me back to Beatrice. Please, please don't let them take me. Brick's arms tightened fractionally, holding her still, without hurting her further. Who's Beatrice? My foster mother. The words came out in a rush. She locks me in the closet. She doesn't feed me. She hit me with the belt so hard I couldn't sit for a week, and they didn't care. The caseworkers didn't care. They said I was making it up. But I wasn't. I swear I wasn't. Okay. Brick's voice cut through her panic like an anchor. Okay, sweetheart. I believe you. I believe you. But you're hurt bad. You need a doctor. They'll send me back. They won't. They will. Tears were streaming down her face now, mixing with the rain. They always do. Nobody keeps kids like me. Nobody wants us. The sirens were getting louder. Red and blue lights started to paint the alley walls. Brick looked at Buster, looked at the bar, looked down at the tiny broken child in his arms, who was staring at him with eyes that had seen too much, survived, too much, lost too much. You trust me. Lily didn't answer. Trust wasn't a word that meant anything to her anymore. I'm going to take you somewhere safe, Brick said. Not a hospital, not the cops, somewhere the system can't touch you. But I need to move fast, and it's going to hurt. Can you be brave for me? I'm always brave. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. Brave is all I got left. Something in Brick's expression cracked just for a second before the hard mass slammed back down. He turned and ran not toward the street, but deeper into the alley toward a motorcycle Lily hadn't even noticed in the shadows. Buster loped alongside them. The police cars screamed around the corner just as Brick reached the bike. He settled Lily on the seat in front of him, his body a cage around hers, protecting her broken shoulder. Buster home. The dog took off like a shot as the motorcycle roared to life. Brick gunned it, and they shot down the alley away from the flashing lights, away from the questions, away from the system that had failed this child again and again. Lily buried her face in Brick's leather vest and held on. The ride was a blur of pain and motion and the smell of rain and leather. Brick drove like he was being chased by the devil himself, taking corners so sharp that Lily would have screamed if she had any screams left. But his arms never wavered, never let her slip, never stopped shielding her from the worst of it. They crossed the city in minutes that felt like hours. Finally, the motorcycle slowed, turned down a narrow side street, and pulled into what looked like an old warehouse. The garage door was already rising. Someone inside must have been watching for them. Inside, the space was warm and bright and full of motorcycles. At least a dozen men looked up as Brick carried Lily in, all of them wearing the same vest, all of them with the same hard eyes. Then those hard eyes landed on the child in Brick's arms, and every single one of them went soft. Doc, Brick's voice cracked like a whip. I need Doc now. An older man pushed through the crowd, medical bag already in hand. He had white hair and kind eyes and hands that looked steady. What happened? Steel pipe to the shoulder. She's been out in the rain for God knows how long before that. Possible hypothermia, I don't know what else. Doc was already examining her, his touch as gentle as Brick's. Hey there, little one. I'm Doc Harrison. I'm going to help you feel better. Okay, are you a real doctor? Lily's voice was small. Former combat medic. Saw more broken bones in Fallujah than most doctors see in a career. He smiled at her. You're in good hands. She can't go to a hospital, Brick said. They'll take her back to her foster home. The woman's abusing her. Every man in the room went very, very still. Say that again, someone growled from the back. You heard me. Foster mother's beating her, starving her, locking her in closets. Brick's voice was flat factual, which somehow made it worse. She's been living on the streets for God knows how long to get away from it. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. These were men who lived by a code that most people wouldn't understand. Men who had done things that would horrify ordinary citizens. But there were lines even they didn't cross, and hurting children was written in blood at the top of that list. What's the foster mother's name? The question came from a man with sergeant-at-arms patches on his vest. Beatrice Gower, Lily whispered. Someone write that down. The sergeant-at-arms pulled out his phone. I'm calling church. This doesn't wait. Lily didn't know what church meant, but the way everyone nodded made it seem important. Doc was working as he listened, cutting away Lily's wet jacket with scissors, examining the angry purple bruise spreading across her shoulder. Clavicle fracture. Clean break could be worse, but Brick, she's severely malnourished. Look at her ribs. When's the last time you ate, sweetheart? Lily tried to remember. There was a dumpster behind the bakery. 2 days ago, maybe they threw out bread. Jesus Christ, someone muttered. Doc's hands stilled for just a moment. Then he continued, working his voice steady. Okay, first we set this bone, then we get food in you. The good stuff, none of that hospital jello garbage. I like jello, Lily said quietly. Every man in the room suddenly seemed very interested in getting her jello. I'll hit QFC, one said. They got that fancy kind at Metropolitan Market, another offered. With the fruit in it. Under any other circumstances, it might have been funny watching these dangerous men debate jello flavors. But Lily was so tired and everything hurt, and she didn't know these people or what they wanted from her. Why are you helping me? The question came out before she could stop it. The room went quiet. Brick crouched down so he was eye level with her. Because you put yourself between a steel pipe and my dog. Because you're 4 years old and you're braver than most men I know. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, hurts a kid on my watch. But I'm not yours. Maybe not yet, Brick said. But you saved Buster's life. That makes you family. And we take care of family. Lily didn't know what to say to that. Family was a word that had stopped meaning anything when the car crash took her parents. Family was a word caseworkers used before they sent her to places where people hit her and locked her up and told her she should be grateful. But the way Brick said it, it sounded different. It sounded real. Doc gave her something that tasted like cherry medicine, and the pain started to drift away, getting fuzzy and distant. This is going to make you sleepy, little one. When you wake up, your shoulder will be set, and you'll feel a lot better. You promise you won't send me back. I promise, Brick's voice was iron. You're done running, Lily. You're done being cold and hungry and scared. You're done with all of it. Lily wanted to believe him, but belief was dangerous. Belief got you hurt. Still as the medicine pulled her down into darkness, she let herself imagine just for a moment what it might be like if he was telling the truth. The last thing she heard was Brick's voice, low and dangerous, speaking to someone on the phone. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what you have to do. Find me everything on Beatrice Gower. Bank records, criminal history, every email she's ever sent. I want to know what she had for breakfast 3 years ago. And while you're at it, start looking into legal guardianship laws, emergency custody procedures, whatever we need to make sure that woman never touches this kid again. A pause. Yeah, I'm sure. Dead sure the kid's one of us now. Then sleep took her, and for the first time in 2 years, Lily Harper dreamed of something other than rain and hunger and fear. She dreamed of a dog with kind eyes and a man with gentle hands and a room full of dangerous men who looked at her like she mattered. When she woke up, the world had shifted on its axis, though she didn't know it yet. She was lying on a couch in a room she didn't recognize, covered in blankets that smelled like fabric softener and motorcycle exhaust. Her shoulder was immobilized in a proper sling, the pain reduced to a dull ache instead of the screaming agony from before. Buster was lying on the floor beside the couch, his big head resting on his paws. When he saw her eyes open, his tail started thumping. "Hey, boy," Lily whispered. The dog's whole body wiggled with happiness. He didn't jump on her, too well trained for that, but he inched closer until his nose was touching her hand. "He hasn't left your side," Doc said, appearing in the doorway with a tray. "Wouldn't eat, wouldn't move. Just sat there watching you like a guardian angel. He's a good dog." "Best dog." Doc set the tray on a table beside the couch. "Think you can eat something? Got chicken noodle soup, crackers, some ginger ale. We'll start light until we know your stomach can handle it." Lily sat up slowly, testing her shoulder. It hurt, but it was manageable. "Where's Brick?" "Making phone calls." "You kicked a hornet's nest, little one." The whole club's mobilized. Doc helped her arrange the pillows so she could eat comfortably. "You know what the Hells Angels are? Bikers. Bad guys." It's what the TV had always said. Doc smiled, but it was sad. "We're a motorcycle club. Some of us have done bad things, won't lie about that. But we have rules, honor, loyalty. And rule number one, carved in stone and written in blood, is that we protect our own." "I'm not yours." "Brick says you are. That means you are." Doc handed her the soup. "Eat slow, small sips. Your stomach's going to be shocked by real food." The soup was the best thing Lily had ever tasted, and she'd literally eaten garbage in the last 48 hours. She forced herself to go slow, like Doc said, even though every instinct screamed at her to gulp it down before someone could take it away. "What time is it?" "About 4 in the morning. You've been asleep for 6 hours." Doc checked her pulse, his fingers warm and steady. "How's the pain?" "Better." "That'll wear off in another hour. I'll give you more meds then." He made notes in a small book. "Lily, I need to ask you some questions, and I need you to be honest with me. Can you do that?" She nodded, spoon halfway to her mouth. "How long were you on the streets?" "Since summer. June, I think. Time got fuzzy when you were homeless. And before that you were with Beatrice Gower. For 8 months. What about your real parents?" Lily's hand tightened on the spoon. "Car crash. I was too. Don't remember them much." "I'm sorry." Doc's voice was gentle. "Any other foster homes before Beatrice?" 3, wow. The first one was okay, but they moved to Alaska. The second one had too many kids already, and they gave me back. The third one, she trailed off. "What happened at the third one?" "The dad tried to come into my room at night." Lily said it flatly, the way she'd said it to the caseworker who hadn't believed her. "I told my worker, and she moved me to Beatrice's." Doc's expression went very, very dark. "Did he touch you?" "No, I screamed and his wife came. But he wanted to." Lily looked down at her soup. "Nobody believed me except the wife, and she couldn't say anything because then everyone would know." "Jesus Christ." Doc stood up, paced to the window, came back. "Lily, I need you to understand something. What happened to you, all of it, that's not normal. That's not how adults are supposed to treat children. You did nothing wrong, nothing." "I know." But she didn't, not really. When bad things kept happening, it was hard not to think maybe you were the problem. The door opened and Brick walked in looking exhausted. His eyes went straight to Lily, and some of the tension in his shoulders eased when he saw her awake and eating. "Hey kiddo, how you feeling?" "Okay," Lily paused. "Thank you for helping me." Brick pulled up a chair, turned it backward, and straddled it. "Got some news, good and bad. Which do you want first?" Lily's stomach dropped. She set down the soup. "Bad. The cops are looking for you. Someone reported hearing a kid screaming in the alley. They found blood yours, and they're treating it as a possible kidnapping." Brick's voice was matter-of-fact. "They've got your description from the foster care system. Your picture's going to be on the news by morning." Lily felt the walls closing in. "You're going to give me back." "Let me finish." Brick leaned forward. "Good news is we've got lawyers, good ones. And we've got something even better, evidence." "Evidence." "My guys spent the last 6 hours digging into Beatrice Gower's life. Turns out your foster mother's been running a scam. She takes in kids, collects the state checks, and spends the money on herself. Found receipts for a vacation to Hawaii while you were locked in her closet. Found her real estate investments. Found emails to other foster parents about how to maximize payouts while minimizing expenses on the kids." Lily blinked. "She was stealing from you and every other kid she's had. We counted 8 in the last 3 years." Brick's smile was sharp. "But here's the beautiful part. We also found the medical records she never filed, the neighbor's statement she paid off, the teacher who tried to report her and got shut down by the district supervisor who happens to be Beatrice's cousin. What does that mean? It means we have her dead to rights, and when we're done, she's not just losing her foster license, she's going to jail. Brick reached out and very carefully touched Lily's uninjured hand. But first, we need to get you legal. We need to make sure no one can take you back. How? That's the complicated part. Doc came back over refilling Lily's ginger ale. The system doesn't move fast, and it especially doesn't move fast for kids in crisis. Brick can't just declare himself your guardian. There's paperwork, investigations, home studies. Could take months. We don't have months, Brick said. The cops find her, she goes right back into the system. Different home maybe, but still in the system. Still at risk. Lily's chest got tight. So what do we do? The two men exchanged a look. We bought ourselves some time, Brick said carefully. Called in a favor with a judge. He's signing an emergency protective order that temporarily blocks Beatrice from having any contact with you. Also convinced him to assign you to a non-traditional guardian situation while the investigation proceeds. Who? Me. Brick met her eyes. If you're okay with that. Lily stared at him. This man she'd known for less than 12 hours. This dangerous, violent man who ran with a motorcycle gang and did things that required white vans in remote locations. This man who had held her like she was precious. Who had believed her about Beatrice without question. Who had mobilized an entire organization to protect one small broken girl that the world had thrown away. Why? The question came out broken, then why would you do this? Brick was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rougher than usual. I had a daughter once, long time ago. He looked away. She was about your age when her mother took her and disappeared. Restraining order based on lies custody battle. I couldn't win because I wore this vest and had this reputation. Spent years looking. Never found them. Lily's throat tightened. Don't know if she's alive or dead. Don't know if she remembers me. But I know what it's like to be powerless when someone you love needs help. Brick looked back at her. I can't save my daughter, but I can save you, if you'll let me. Lily thought about the last 2 years, the pain, the hunger, the fear, the absolute certainty that nobody cared whether she lived or died. She thought about Buster's warm weight against her side, about Doc's gentle hands, about a room full of dangerous men arguing over Jell-O flavors. She thought about what Brick had said. You're family now. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Brick's eyes got suspiciously bright. He cleared his throat. Okay, good. That's good. But I have questions. Shoot. Do I have to call you Dad? Call me Brick, or Clarence if you want to embarrass me in front of the guys. Despite everything, Lily almost smiled. Clarence, my mother had a cruel sense of humor. Don't spread that around. Can Buster sleep in my room? You're going to have a room, and yeah, Buster can sleep wherever he wants. He's already claimed you anyway. Will I have to go to school? Eventually, but we'll get you caught up first. No rush. Lily took a shaky breath. What if they take me anyway? What if the judge changes his mind, or the cops don't care about the evidence, or then we run? Brick's voice was flat, certain. We've got clubhouses in 15 states, friends in Mexico, Canada, overseas. They want to take you, they'll have to go through 200 Hells Angels first. And sweetheart, I promise you that's not a fight they'll win. It was probably the most illegal thing anyone had ever said to her. It was definitely not what a responsible adult should promise a 4-year-old. But Lily believed him. For the first time in 2 years, she believed that someone was actually going to protect her. She finished her soup while Doc and Brick discussed medication schedules and physical therapy for her shoulder. Buster inched closer until his head was in her lap, and she stroked his ears with her good hand, feeling the softness of his fur, the warmth of his breath. Can I ask something else? Anything, what Brick said. In the alley, when those men were going to hurt Buster. You told them about Ravenna. Lily chose her words carefully. What happens there? Brick and Doc exchanged glances again. Nothing you need to worry about, Doc said, but something bad. Something appropriate, Brick corrected. There's a difference. Lily thought about Dex swinging that pipe at her. Thought about him laughing when she went down. Thought about what would have happened if Brick hadn't shown up, if they'd killed Buster, if they'd noticed her watching, if they'd decided a homeless kid was a loose end. Good, she said quietly. I hope it hurt. Neither man looked shocked. If anything, they looked understanding. Get some more sleep, Doc said, standing up. Your body needs rest to heal. I'm not tired anymore. Then just lie down. Close your eyes. You're safe here, Lily. Nobody's going to hurt you. Nobody's going to take you. You can let your guard down. Lily wanted to believe that, but letting your guard down was how you got hurt. Letting your guard down was how you ended up back in Beatrice's closet, or worse. Still, she lay down, pulling the blankets up. Buster immediately jumped onto the couch, a move that would usually get him yelled at based on how he hesitated, but Brick just waved a hand. Just this once, boy. The dog curled up against Lily's legs, warm and solid and real. Brick settled into the chair beside the couch. I'll be right here. You need anything, you just say. You're going to stay all night, every night, until you don't need me to anymore. Lily closed her eyes. She didn't sleep, couldn't quite manage that yet, but she rested, listening to the sound of Brick breathing, of Buster's tail occasionally thumping against the blanket of voices in the other room, planning and plotting and preparing for war against a system that had failed her. Somewhere in the darkness before dawn, she finally drifted off. And when she woke again, Brick was still there, exactly like he'd promised. For a child who'd spent 2 years learning that promises meant nothing, it was the beginning of something fragile and terrifying and desperately hoped for. It was the beginning of trust. Morning came too fast. Lily woke to voices arguing in the next room, sharp and urgent enough to cut through the fog of sleep and medication. Can't just hide her forever, Brick. That's not how this works. Then tell me how it works, Tanner. You're the lawyer. That's why we pay you. Lily sat up carefully, her shoulder protesting the movement. Buster lifted his head, ears swiveling toward the voices. Through the partially open door, she could see Brick standing with his arms crossed, facing a man in an expensive suit who looked deeply uncomfortable, surrounded by bikers. The protective order buys us 72 hours, the lawyer Tanner said. After that, CPS is going to demand a welfare check. They'll want to see her, interview her, assess the living situation. And when they see she's staying in a motorcycle clubhouse with a convicted felon, I did my time, records expunged. Expunged isn't erased, not when it comes to child services. They'll use it against you. Tanner ran a hand through his hair. Look, I'm not saying we can't win this. The evidence against Beatrice Gower is damning. But the system doesn't move on evidence alone. It moves on policy and precedent. And precedent says kids go to licensed foster homes, not to bikers. Brick finished. Yeah, I got it. Lily's chest tightened. She'd known it was too good to be true. Known it the whole time, really. People like Brick didn't get to keep kids like her. The system had rules, and the rules didn't care about who saved whose life or who made promises in the middle of the night. There might be another option. A new voice, female, sharp as a knife. A woman pushed past Tanner into view. She was older, maybe 50, with steel gray hair pulled back tight and eyes that looked like they'd seen every dirty trick in the book. But you're not going to like it. Who the hell are you? Brick demanded. Monica Reeves, family law specialist. Tanner called me in because he's out of his depth. She set a briefcase on the table, popped it open. I've handled 300 custody cases in 20 years. Won most of them. Lost the ones where my clients were idiots who didn't listen to me. I'm listening, Brick said. Good. Here's a situation. You want to keep this kid. You need to become someone the system can't refuse. That means cleaning up your image fast. No visible club association, no leather, no bikes around her. Get a regular job. Rent a house in a nice neighborhood. Become Joe Suburban. Brick's jaw clenched. I'm not abandoning my brothers. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to be smart. Monica pulled out documents, spreading them across the table. The club can support you from the background, but the face you show, CPS, needs to be squeaky clean. Otherwise, they'll take her and you'll spend the next decade fighting to get her back. And if I do this cleanup play, their game, we win. I said you become someone they can't refuse. I didn't say it was guaranteed. Monica looked at him dead on. But it's your best shot, maybe your only shot. Lily's fingers dug into Buster's fur. She wanted to walk out there, tell them it was okay, tell Brick he didn't have to change his whole life for her. But her legs wouldn't move, because the truth was she wanted him to. Wanted it so badly it hurt worse than her broken shoulder. Wanted someone to choose her for once. How long do I have to decide? Brick asked. About 30 seconds. CPS is already calling the clubhouse phone. They know she's here. Don't ask me how, but they know. We need a plan before they show up with cops and court orders. They're coming here now. Within the hour, I'd estimate. Brick turned, saw Lily in the doorway, and his whole expression changed. How much did you hear? All of it. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. You don't have to do this. I'll figure something out. Come here. She walked over on shaky legs. Brick crouched down to her level, his big hands gentle on her uninjured arm. You listen to me. I made you a promise last night. I don't break promises. His eyes searched hers. But this lady's right. We've got to be smart about this. That means some things are going to change. Might be hard. Might take time. You okay with that? Lily nodded, not trusting her voice. Say it out loud. I need to hear you say it. I'm okay with it. The words came out steady, stronger than she felt. I'm okay with whatever it takes. Brick's throat worked. Then he stood, turned back to Monica. Tell me what to do. What happened next was chaos in slow motion. Monica Reeves moved like a general, deploying troops, barking orders that people scrambled to follow. 2 club members left immediately to rent a house. Nothing fancy, nothing that screams drug money, just normal middle class, normal. While others started moving Lily's meager belongings from the clubhouse couch to a hastily packed duffel bag. Doc appeared with more medication and a proper shoulder brace. This is going to hold better than the sling when you're moving around. CPS sees professional medical care. It helps. Where'd you get it? Monica asked, suspicious. Better you don't know. I'm your lawyer. I need to know everything. Doc smiled, but it wasn't friendly. I was a combat medic. I've got connections. The brace is legal, the treatment was competent, and that's all anyone needs to prove. Monica looked like she wanted to argue, but Brick cut in. We don't have time. What else? Clothes. Monica gestured at Lily's threadbare outfit. She needs to look cared for. Hairbrushed clean clothes like she's been here more than 12 hours. On it, a woman appeared from somewhere Lily hadn't even known there were women in the clubhouse with shopping bags. I've got sisters. I know what 4-year-olds wear. Her name was Crystal, and she had tattoos up both arms and a smile that made Lily feel slightly less terrified. She led Lily to a bathroom that smelled like motor oil and cheap soap. Okay, sweetheart, let's get you cleaned up. You like pink? I got pink. Got purple too. Some yellow. Wasn't sure about sizes, so I grabbed a bunch. Lily stared at the pile of new clothes, actual new clothes with tags still on them, and felt something crack in her chest. Why are you all doing this? Crystal paused in the middle of running bathwater. You really got to ask. People don't just help. Not without wanting something. Oh, honey, Crystal's face softened. We're not people. We're family. And family doesn't need a reason. The bath was warm and careful, Crystal, helping Lily wash around the shoulder brace without getting it wet. The clothes fit soft leggings and a purple sweater that didn't scratch or hang off her like everything else she'd worn for months. Crystal even had new shoes, light-up sneakers that made Lily's eyes go wide. Really, Koyot? Really, every kid should have shoes that light up. Crystal brushed Lily's hair, working through tangles with patience Lily didn't know adults possessed. There, look. She held up a mirror. The girl staring back looked almost normal. Clean. Cared for. Like someone's actual kid instead of a street rat who ate from dumpsters. Lily's eyes burned. I don't look like me. You look like the you that you're supposed to be. Crystal set down the brush. Come on, we've got maybe 20 minutes before the cavalry arrives. They walked back to the main room where Brick was changing into clothes. Lily had never seen him wear khakis and a button-down shirt that made him look like someone's dad instead of a biker. He'd shaved, cut his hair. Without the leather and the beard, he looked 10 years younger and 100 times less dangerous. Wow, Lily said. Brick grimaced. I look like I sell insurance. You look respectable, Monica corrected. That's the point. Now let's go over the story one more time. The sound of car doors slamming outside cut her off. Through the window, Lily saw 2 vehicles, one marked CPS van and one police cruiser. They were out of time. Brick, Monica started. I know. He looked at Lily. Remember what we talked about. Tell the truth, but you don't have to tell them everything. You're safe, you're fed, you're getting medical care. That's what matters. Lily nodded, her heart hammering. The knock on the door was sharp official. Brick opened it to reveal two CPS workers, a tired-looking woman in her 40s and a younger man with a clipboard flanked by a police officer who had his hand resting casually near his weapon. Clarence Morrison, the woman asked. That's me. I'm Sandra Vick, Child Protective Services. This is my colleague, Aaron Torres. We're here to conduct a welfare check on Lily Harper. Her eyes found Lily behind Brick. Hello, Lily. My name is Sandra. Can we come in and talk to you for a few minutes? Lily looked at Brick. He nodded slightly. Okay. They filed in Sandra's eyes, cataloging everything the clubhouse trying desperately to look like a normal home, the men in the background trying to look like normal people, Lily herself in her new clothes with her professional shoulder brace. Lily, can you come sit with me? Sandra indicated a chair. Just you and me, is that all right? Lily's fingers found Buster's earsham. The dog had materialized at her side the moment the strangers walked in. Can Buster come? Sandra glanced at the massive pit bull, clearly calculating risk versus trauma. If it makes you more comfortable, yes. They sat. Sandra pulled out paperwork but didn't immediately start writing. How are you feeling? My shoulder hurts. I can see you've got a brace. Have you seen a doctor? This was the trap. Lily could feel it. Say yes, and they'd ask which doctor, which hospital. Why there was no paperwork. Say no, and they'd claim neglect. Doc Harrison looked at it. He was a medic in the war. Did he take you to a hospital? I didn't want to go. I was scared. Scared of what? Lily's throat tightened. That you'd send me back to Beatrice. Sandra's expression flickered, something that might have been sympathy quickly buried under professional neutrality. Lily, I need to ask you some questions about your time with Miss Gower. Were you hurt while living in her home? Yes. Can you tell me how? And here it was, the moment where Lily had to decide how much to trust. She told caseworkers before, told teachers, told the police after she ran away the first time. Nobody had believed her. Nobody had done anything. But Brick said he had evidence. Monica said they had a case. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time someone would listen. She locked me in the closet when I was bad, Lily said quietly. Sometimes for hours, sometimes overnight. Sandra's pen moved across the paper. What did she consider bad? Anything. Talking too loud, not cleaning fast enough, asking for food. Lily's hands twisted in Buster's fur. She hit me with her belt if I cried. Did she feed you regularly? Sometimes, if she remembered, if she wasn't mad. When was the last time you ate before last night? 2 days? Dumpster bread? The pen stopped moving. Sandra looked up, really looked at Lily for the first time. You've been on the streets since you ran away in June? Yes, ma'am. And last night, how did you end up here? This was the dangerous part. Lily chose her words carefully. Bad men tried to steal Buster. They were going to hurt him. I tried to stop them, and one of them hit me with a pipe. Brick saved us both. The police report says there was a considerable amount of blood at the scene. It was mine from my shoulder. And the 2 men who attacked you, do you know what happened to them? Lily met Sandra's eyes. No, ma'am. Everything happened really fast. It wasn't technically a while. She didn't know what happened. She knew what was going to happen, but that was different. Sandra made more notes. Aaron, the younger caseworker, leaned forward. Lily, do you feel safe here? Yes. Has anyone here hurt you or threatened you? No, they gave me medicine and food and a bath and new clothes. Lily gestured to her outfit. Crystal helped me. She was nice. Who's Crystal? One of the Kamea, Lily caught Arsa. One of Brick's friends. Sandra and Aaron exchanged glances. Lily, we need to be very clear about something. The clubhouse where you're currently staying is associated with a motorcycle club. Do you understand what that means? It means they ride motorcycles. It means they're involved in activities that might not be safe for a child. Beatrice wasn't in a motorcycle club, Lily said flatly. She still hurt me. The room went very quiet. Sandra's professional mask slipped just slightly. You're right. You're absolutely right. She closed her notebook. Lily, here's what's going to happen. We're going to do a full investigation into your allegations against Ms. Gower. We're also going to assess Mr. Morrison's suitability as a guardian. In the meantime, you're going to be placed in emergency foster care. No, Lily's voice cracked. No, please, not again. I can't. Lily, listen to me. You said Beatrice would be different. You said the house before that would be safe. You keep saying things will be better and they never are. Tears were streaming down her face now. Please don't make me go, please. I'll be so good. I'll do anything, just please. Brick was across the room in 3 strides. She's not going anywhere. The police officer's hand moved to his weapon. Sir, I need you to step back. She's terrified. Can't you see that you're traumatizing her more than she's already been traumatized? Mr. Morrison, this is not your decision to make. The hell it isn't. I've got a protective order that says, that expires in 68 hours, Sandra interrupted. And unless you can demonstrate a safe, stable environment and pass a background check, then she will be remanded to state custody. Monica stepped forward, all business. My client is in the process of securing appropriate housing. He has employment references and a support system. He's also willing to submit to any and all background checks, home studies, and psychological evaluations you require. That's all well and good, Ms. Reeves, but it doesn't change the immediate situation. We can't leave a child in a motorcycle clubhouse. Then you're in luck, Crystal's voice came from the doorway, because Brick already rented a house. Keys just arrived. She held up a set of keys and a rental agreement. Sandra took them, scanning the document with obvious suspicion. This was signed 20 minutes ago. We move fast when kids are involved. Crystal's smile was sharp. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, nice neighborhood. Landlord's a friend, background checks in process. Anything else you need? Sandra looked at Aaron. Aaron shrugged helplessly. This was clearly not protocol, not even close. But the law was murky and the situation unprecedented. I need to see the house, Sandra finally said. Right now, Brick asked. Right now, and Lily comes with us. The next hour was a blur of cars and inspections, and Sandra Vick poking into every corner of a house that had been empty until 30 minutes ago. The club had worked miracles. There was furniture, basic groceries, even toys in what was designated as Lily's room. It looked staged because it was staged, but it looked safe. It looked normal. Sandra walked through every room twice, making notes, asking questions. Where would Lily sleep? How would Brick provide transportation to school? What were his plans for childcare while he worked? Brick had answers for everything. Some were true, some were creative interpretations of truth. All were delivered with the calm certainty of a man who'd faced down worse than a CPS worker with a clipboard. Finally, Sandra sat down at the kitchen table. Mr. Morrison, I'm going to be very direct with you. This entire situation is highly irregular. Under normal circumstances, I would remove Lily from your care immediately pending investigation. Brick's jaw clenched, but he didn't interrupt. However, Sandra continued, I've been doing this job for 18 years. I've seen what happens when we move kids too quickly too often. I've seen the damage it causes. She looked at Lily, who was sitting on the floor with Buster. I've also read the preliminary evidence against Beatrice Gower, and frankly, it makes me sick. So what are you saying, Monica asked. I'm saying I'm going to give you 1 week, 7 days. In that time, Mr. Morrison will complete a full background check, submit to a home study, provide employment verification, and demonstrate that he can provide appropriate care. Sandra's eyes were hard. If any of those things don't happen, or if I find evidence that Lily is in danger, I will remove her immediately. No second chances. Are we clear? Crystal, Brick said. We're clear, Monica corrected, and will exceed every requirement you set. Sandra stood. Lily, can I talk to you for a moment, in private? Lily looked at Brick. He nodded, though his expression was tight. They walked out to the backyard, small fence with overgrown grass that nobody had mowed in months. Sandra crouched down to Lily's level. I need you to understand something. If you're scared of these people, if they've threatened you or made you lie, you can tell me. I will protect you. They haven't. Are you sure? Because it's okay to be scared. It's okay to... I'm always scared, Lily interrupted. I've been scared every day since my parents died. But I'm less scared here than I've been anywhere else in 2 years. Sandra was quiet for a long moment. He really saved you last night. He saved me from the men with the pipe. But he's still saving me right now because he doesn't have to do any of this. Lily's voice wavered. Nobody else wanted to. Oh, sweetheart. Sandra's professional mask cracked completely. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this works out. But you have to help me. You have to tell me if anything changes, if anything feels wrong. Can you promise me that? Lily nodded. They went back inside where Brick was signing papers, agreeing to terms, accepting conditions that would have been unthinkable 12 hours ago. The police officer left first, then Aaron, then finally Sandra with a warning that she'd be back in 48 hours unannounced. The door closed. Brick slumped against it. Holy shit. We did it, Monica said. Week 1 anyway. Week 1, Brick repeated. Then he started laughing, slightly unhinged. Week 1, Jesus Christ. What did I just agree to? Employment verification by Friday, Monica read from her notes. Home study on Monday. Background check clearance by Wednesday. Psychological eval. I got it. Brick rubbed his face. This is insane. This is what it takes. Monica packed up her briefcase. Welcome to family law. It doesn't get easier from here. She left. Crystal left. One by one, the club members who'd been lurking in the background filtered out until it was just Brick and Lily and Buster in a house that smelled like fresh paint and new carpet. Lily sat on the couch that still had tags attached. You really did all this for me. I really did. Why? Brick sat down next to her, careful not to jostle her shoulder. Because you were brave when you didn't have to be. Because you stood between evil and something good, and you didn't even think twice. He was quiet for a moment. Because I spent 15 years wishing someone had done it for my daughter. Do you think you'll find her someday? I don't know. Maybe. Brick's voice was rough. But even if I do, even if she comes back, it doesn't change what I'm doing for you. You understand, you're not a replacement. You're not a substitute. You're Lily and you deserve to be safe, and that's all the reason I need. Lily leaned against his side, careful of her shoulder. He was warm and solid, and he smelled like cheap cologne that he'd probably put on specifically for the CPS visit. Brick, yeah, kiddo. Thank you. His arm came around her, gentle and protective. You don't have to thank me. Not ever. They sat there as the sun went down, as the house settled into its new purpose, as Buster snored on the floor, and the world outside kept turning. Somewhere in the city, Beatrice Gower was about to have a very bad week. Somewhere, caseworkers were filing reports. Somewhere, the system was grinding its slow wheels. But in that moment in that house, Lily Harper was exactly where she was supposed to be. And for the first time in 2 years, she let herself believe it might actually last. The belief lasted exactly 36 hours. Lily woke up on the second morning in the new house to voices shouting downstairs. Not angry voices exactly, but urgent ones. The kind that made her stomach drop and her fingers reach automatically for Buster's collar. The dog was already awake, ears perked toward the noise. She crept to the stairs, keeping low. Through the banister rails, she could see Brick pacing the living room with his phone pressed into his ear, still wearing the khakis and button-down that made him look wrong. I don't care what strings you have to pull, Tanner. I need that background check expedited. Pause. Because Beatrice Gower just filed a counterclaim saying I kidnapped Lily. Says she has witnesses who saw me forcibly take the child. Says the whole protective order is based on falsified evidence. Lily's blood went cold. Yeah, I know it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. But CPS doesn't know it's bullshit. And if they show up before we have documentation proving I'm clean. Brick saw Lily on the stairs and his whole expression changed. I'll call you back. He ended the call. Lily didn't move. How much did you hear? All of it. Her voice came out flat. She's trying to get me back. She's trying. She won't succeed. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Brick climbed the stairs, sat down 2 steps below her so they were eye level. Beatrice is panicking because she knows we have evidence. This is a desperate move. People make mistakes when they're desperate. What if CPS believes her? They won't. But what if they do? Lily's throat was closing up. What if they come and take me and I have to go back there? She'll lock me in the closet forever. Hey, look at me. Brick's hands were gentle on her shoulders. That is not going to happen. You hear me? I will burn this whole city down before I let that woman touch you again. You can't fight CPS. Watch me. The doorbell rang. They both froze. Brick stood slowly, every muscle tense. Stay here. Brick, stay here. He went downstairs. Lily pressed herself against the banister, watching as he opened the door to reveal not Sandra Vick, but two police officers both looking grim. Clarence Morrison. That's me. We need you to come down to the station. Answer some questions about the incident 2 nights ago. What kind of questions? The kind better asked at the station. The older officer's hand rested on his belt. You can come voluntarily or we can make it official. Your choice. Brick's jaw clenched. I've got a 4-year-old upstairs. I can't just leave her. Call someone to watch her. And if I don't, then we call CPS and they take her while you're being questioned. Still want to play hardball? Lily watched Brick's hands curl into fists. Watched him force them to relax. Watched him make the calculation between what he wanted to do and what he could do. Give me 5 minutes. The officers exchanged glances. 3. Brick turned, saw Lily on the stairs, and his expression cracked. He took the steps 2 at a time. I have to go with them, just for a few hours, just to answer questions. They think you kidnapped me. They think a lot of things. None of them are true. He pulled out his phone, dialed. Crystal, I need you at the house in 2 minutes. Cops are taking me in for questioning. Pause. Yeah, about Lily. No, just get here, fast. He hung up, looked at Lily with eyes that were trying hard not to show fear. Crystal's going to stay with you. Doc's going to be here too. You're not going to be alone. What if they arrest you? Then Monica will get me out. What if they don't let her, Lily? Brick crouched down. I need you to be brave. Can you do that for me? She wanted to scream that she was tired of being brave. That brave was all she'd been for 2 years, and it never made anything better. But his eyes were desperate, and the cops were downstairs, and Crystal's motorcycle was already roaring up the street. Okay, she whispered. Crystal came through the door to run, taking in the situation instantly. How long? Few hours, hopefully. Brick stood. She's scared. Don't leave her alone. I won't. The officers were getting impatient. One of them called up the stairs. Time's up, Morrison. Brick touched Lily's hair just once. Then he went downstairs and let them put him in the back of a police car like a criminal. Lily watched through the window until the car disappeared. He'll be okay, Crystal said, but her voice was tight. You don't know that. Yeah, I do. Brick's been in worse situations. He always comes out. Crystal's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her expression went dark. Shit. What? Nothing. Don't worry about it. Crystal, what? The woman hesitated, clearly weighing how much to say. Beatrice Gower's lawyer is holding a press conference. Says you were abducted by a violent criminal organization. Says she's fighting to get her foster daughter back. Lily felt the room tilt. Can I see? That's not a good idea. I need to see. Crystal pulled up the video on her phone, reluctant. A man in an expensive suit stood behind a podium, Beatrice beside him, looking tearful and concerned. Nothing like the woman who'd locked Lily in closets. Deeply traumatized child who was taken from her home by members of a known motorcycle gang. Ms. Gower has been caring for Lily for nearly a year, providing a safe, loving environment. Lily's laugh was sharp and bitter. Loving environment, right. On screen, Beatrice dabbed at her eyes. I just want my little girl back. I want her safe. These people are dangerous and I'm terrified for her. Turn it off, Lily said. Crystal did. It's all lies. Everyone knows it. Everyone doesn't matter. CPS matters. The judge matters. Lily's hands were shaking. She's going to win. She's going to get me back. Over my dead body. The door opened and Doc walked in carrying a medical bag and a laptop. Saw the cruiser. How bad? They took Brick for questioning. Beatrice filed a kidnapping complaint. Doc's expression went flat. Of course she did. He set down the laptop, opened it. Good news is we've got more than complaints. We've got bank records showing she diverted $11,000 in foster care funds to personal accounts. We've got testimony from 3 former foster kids describing similar abuse. We've got medical records she falsified. Will it be enough? Lily asked. It'll have to be. Doc started typing. I'm sending all of this to Monica right now. She can use it too. His phone rang. He answered, listened, and went pale. Went pause. How bad? Longer pause. We'll handle it. Yeah, no, keep him there as long as you can. He hung up. Crystal was already tense. What happened? That was Hammer. He's at the station. Brick just found out that Dex and Slade, the guys who attacked Lily, they're missing. Officially missing. Cops are asking if Brick knows anything about their whereabouts. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Do they have bodies? Crystal asked quietly. Not yet, but they've got witnesses who saw Hammer and Tiny drag them into a van. They've got the van itself abandoned in Ravenna with blood in the back. Lily's stomach lurched. Are they dead? Doc and Crystal exchanged glances. Probably not, Doc said carefully, but they're definitely not in Seattle anymore. Where are they? Somewhere they can think about their life choices. Crystal's voice was hard. Somewhere very far away from you. Lily should have felt something about that guilt maybe, or horror, but all she felt was a grim satisfaction that the men who'd hurt her were gone. Did that make her bad? Probably. She was starting not to care. The cops are going to use this against Brick, Doc said. They're going to say he's violent, dangerous, that he ordered a hit on those guys, even if they can't prove it. Can they arrest him? Not without evidence. But they can make his life hell. And more importantly, they can make CPS doubt him. The phone rang again. This time it was Monica, and Doc put her on speaker. I'm at the station. They're not charging him yet, but they're definitely fishing. Problem is, Beatrice's lawyer is good. He's already filed an emergency motion to revoke the protective order and return Lily to her custody. When's the hearing? Crystal demanded. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Lily's knees gave out. She sat down hard on the floor, Buster immediately pressing against her side. Tomorrow, she repeated numbly. We'll fight it, Monica said. We've got evidence, we've got testimony, we've got less than 24 hours, Doc interrupted, and Brick's sitting in an interrogation room instead of preparing. Then get him out. Working on it. But Lily needs to know something. Monica's voice got quieter. There's a chance, a real chance, that the judge sides with Beatrice tomorrow. If that happens, you'll be removed from Brick's custody immediately. No. The word ripped out of Lily's chest. No, I won't go. I'll run. I'll hide. You'll do exactly what we tell you to. Oh, Doc said not unkindly, because running makes everything worse. You understand? Lily couldn't breathe. The room was closing in, getting smaller and smaller, until there wasn't enough air. This was happening too fast. She'd been safe for 36 hours, and now it was all falling apart, and she couldn't stop it, couldn't fix it, couldn't do anything except wait for the system to chew her up and spit her out again. Buster whined, pushing his head under her hand. I saved your life, Lily whispered to the dog. I saved you, and now I'm going to lose everything anyway. Crystal knelt down beside her. Hey, look at me. She waited until Lily's eyes focused. This isn't over. Not even close. We've still got moves to make. What moves? Crystal smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. The kind that people like Beatrice Gower don't see coming. 3 hours later, Brick walked through the door, looking exhausted and furious. Lily launched herself at him, despite her shoulder, and he caught her carefully. Easy, kiddo. I'm okay. They kept you so long. Yeah, well, they had a lot of stupid questions. He looked at Doc and Crystal over Lily's head. We need to talk. Not in front of her. I'm staying, Lily said. Lily, I'm staying. It's about me. I deserve to hear it. Brick sighed but didn't argue. They moved to the kitchen table, Lily wedged between Brick and Crystal, with Buster at her feet. They know about Dex and Slade, Brick said without preamble. They know the club was involved. They can't prove anything, but they know. That's going to come up tomorrow, Monica's voice said from the laptop speaker. Beatrice's lawyer will use it to paint you as dangerous. I am dangerous. Not to children. Never to children. That's what we need to emphasize. By ignoring the fact that I run with a motorcycle club, that I've got a record that 2 men who attacked Lily mysteriously disappeared after I got my hands on them. By showing that everything you've done has been to protect her. Monica's voice was firm. We flip the narrative. Beatrice claims you kidnapped Lily. We show that you rescued her from the streets where she'd been living to escape abuse. She claims you're violent. We show that you protected a child from men who would have killed her. She claims you're unfit. We show that in 36 hours, you've provided more care and stability than she did in 8 months. And the background check. It came through. You're clean. Well, as clean as we can make you look. Papers rustled through the speaker. The expunged conviction won't show. And your employment verification from the construction company checks out. I don't work for a construction company. You do now. One of the brothers owns it. Payroll's been backdated 6 months. Everything's legitimate on paper. Brick rubbed his face. This is insane. This is what it takes, Monica paused. Brick, I need to ask you something and I need you to be honest. Are you prepared to lose tomorrow? No. That's not what I asked. I asked if you are prepared, because there's a real chance, maybe 30%, that the judge sends Lily back to Beatrice pending full investigation. If that happens, what are you going to do? The room went silent. Lily watched Brick's face, watched him struggle with the answer. She knew what he wanted to say. She'd heard him say it to the other club members. We run. We disappear. We take her somewhere they can't reach. But saying it out loud in front of witnesses with Monica listening made it real. Made it conspiracy. Made it the kind of thing that could send him to prison for years. I'm going to follow the legal process, Brick said finally, and Lily's heart sank. I'm going to trust that the evidence speaks for itself. Good answer. Monica didn't sound convinced. Get some sleep. All of you. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. She disconnected. Nobody moved. You're lying, Lily said quietly. Brick looked at her. What? You're lying about following the legal process, I can tell. Lily, you said you'd burn the city down before you let her take me. You meant it. So why are you lying now? Brick glanced at Doc and Crystal. Both of them suddenly found the ceiling very interesting. Because sometimes you say what people need to hear, Brick said carefully, and sometimes you do what needs to be done. Those aren't always the same thing. So if I lose tomorrow, you're not going to lose. But if I do, then we'll deal with it. Brick's voice was steel. Together. Lily understood what he wasn't saying. Understood the plan that existed in the spaces between words. If the judge ruled against them, they'd have maybe an hour before CPS arrived to take her. An hour to grab essentials and disappear. The club had safe houses, had connections, had ways to move people that the system couldn't track. It was illegal. It was dangerous. It would make them fugitives. But it was also a promise that he wouldn't let her go. Okay, she said. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She lay in her new bed in her new room wearing new pajamas that still had tags and stared at the ceiling while her mind spun in circles. Tomorrow, a judge would decide her fate. Tomorrow, strangers would debate whether she was better off with a woman who'd starved and beaten her or a man who'd known her for 3 days. Tomorrow, the system would grind its gears and spit out a decision that would change everything. And there was nothing she could do about it. The helplessness was worse than hunger, worse than cold, worse than the belt or the closet or any of the physical pain she'd endured. At least when she was on the streets, she'd had control. She could choose where to sleep, where to hide, whether to run or stay. But now she was trapped in a system that didn't care what she wanted, didn't care what she'd survived, didn't care about anything except rules and procedures and precedent. A soft knock on the door. You awake? Yeah. Brick came in still dressed. Can't sleep either. No. He sat on the edge of her bed. Buster immediately jumped up, wedging himself between them. I'm scared, Lily admitted. Me too. Really? Terrified. Brick's voice was rough. I've been in firefights, bar brawls, ran drugs across state lines back when I was young and stupid. Never been scared like this. Why? Because those things I had control. I could fight back. I could run. I could do something. He looked down at his hands. But tomorrow I have to sit in a courtroom and trust that a judge I've never met will make the right decision about someone He stopped. Someone what? Someone I care about. A lot. More than I probably should after 3 days. Lily's throat burned. I care about you too. Yeah. She hesitated. If we lose tomorrow, if they make me go back, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't let me stay there long. Even if you have to wait. Even if it takes time. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Come get me, please. Brick's hand found hers, careful of her injured shoulder. I won't have to wait. You're not going back there. Not tomorrow. Not ever. You can't know that. I can and I do. His voice was absolute. Because I've got 200 brothers who feel the same way I do. And if that judge is stupid enough to send you back to Beatrice, he's going to find out what happens when you corner the Hells Angels. You'll get in trouble. Don't care. You could go to jail. Worth it. Brick. Lily. He waited until she looked at him. I spent 15 years regretting that I couldn't save my daughter. 15 years wondering where she was, if she was safe, if she needed me. I'm not doing that again. I'm not losing another kid to a system that doesn't give a damn. So whatever happens tomorrow, whatever that judge says, you are not going back to that woman. We clear? Lily nodded, not trusting her voice. Now try to get some sleep. Tomorrow we show them what you're made of. He stood to leave, but Lily grabbed his hand. Stay, just until I fall asleep. Brick settled into the chair beside her bed without hesitation. I'm not going anywhere. Lily closed her eyes, listening to his breathing, feeling Buster's warmth against her legs. Outside, the city moved on indifferent to one small girl's fate. But in this room, in this moment, she wasn't alone. And maybe that would be enough. She woke to pre-dawn light and the sound of motorcycles. Lots of motorcycles. Lily went to the window and her breath caught. The street was lined with them, dozens of bikes, their riders all wearing the same leather vest Brick usually wore. They weren't revving engines or making noise. They were just there, a silent army standing guard. They've been there since midnight, Brick said from the doorway. Word got out about the hearing. They wanted you to know you've got backup. There's so many. That's not even half. The rest are at the courthouse already, making sure Beatrice knows what she's up against. Lily turned to face him. He was wearing his court clothes again, the khakis and button-down, but his expression was pure biker. Hard, ready for war. What time do we leave? 7:30. Hearing's at 9, but Monica wants us there early. He handed her an outfit Crystal had laid out. You ready? No. Good. Only idiots go into battle confident. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Get dressed. Today we fight. The drive to the courthouse was silent, except for the rumble of engines surrounding them. Brick drove his truck with Lily in the passenger seat, but they were bracketed on all sides by motorcycles. An escort. A warning. When they pulled up to the courthouse, Lily saw what Brick had meant. The steps were lined with Hell's Angels, easily 100 of them, maybe more. They weren't blocking access, weren't threatening anyone, just standing there in their leather and patches, making it very clear whose side they were on. News cameras were everywhere. Reporters shouting questions. Police forming a nervous perimeter. And on the opposite side of the steps, looking small and frail and victimized for the cameras, stood Beatrice Gower. Lily's hands clenched into fists. Easy, Brick murmured. Don't give them ammunition. They climbed out of the truck. Immediately, 4 club members materialized around them, Doc, Crystal, Hammer, and Tiny forming a protective barrier. Monica met them at the base of the steps, already looking stressed. This is a disaster, she said without preamble. The optics are terrible. You've got an army of bikers facing down one frightened foster mother. The judge is going to crucify us. They volunteered, Brick said. I can't send them away. Yes, you can. You're their VP. Tell them to leave. No. Monica's eyes flashed. This is exactly the kind of thing that makes you look dangerous. I am dangerous. But not to her. Brick put his hand on Lily's shoulder. And if showing up with backup makes the judge nervous, then maybe he should think real hard about sending a 4-year-old back to an abuser. They were halfway up the steps when Beatrice's lawyer intercepted them. Mr. Morrison, Miss Reeves. He was smooth-polished, everything Brick wasn't. I'm hoping we can avoid the theatrics and settle this reasonably. Define reasonably, Monica said. My client is willing to drop the kidnapping charges if you return Lily to her care today. Voluntarily, with the understanding that you can pursue custody through proper channels. Lily felt Brick's hand tighten on her shoulder. And if we refuse, Monica asked, then we go before Judge Matthews and let him decide. But I should warn you, Judge Matthews doesn't take kindly to motorcycle clubs, or to vigilante justice, or to men who make children disappear into the night. Lily wasn't disappeared. She was rescued. That's your interpretation. The lawyer's smile was sharp. The judge may see it differently. He walked away. Lily looked up at Brick, saw the muscle jumping in his jaw. We're going to lose, she whispered. Not yet, we're not. But for the first time, Lily heard doubt in his voice. And she knew that everything she'd hoped for, everything she'd started to believe in was balanced on the edge of a knife. The courtroom was smaller than Lily expected. She'd seen courtrooms on TV, big imposing spaces with high ceilings and rows of benches. This was just a room with fluorescent lights and worn carpet, the kind of place where lives changed every day, and nobody bothered to make it look important. Judge Matthews was already seated when they entered a man in his 60s with gray hair and reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked up as they filed in, his expression hardening when he saw Brick. "Mr. Morrison, I see you brought an audience. They're concerned citizens, Your Honor. They're Hell's Angels." The judge's voice was flat. "Don't insult my intelligence." Monica stood quickly. "Your Honor, my client has complied with every requirement set forth by Child Protective Services. He's provided housing past his background check, submitted to home evaluation, and surrounded this courthouse with a show of force that borders on intimidation." Judge Matthews removed his glasses, cleaning them slowly. "I've been on the bench for 32 years. I've seen a lot of tactics. This is a new one. They're not here to intimidate, Your Honor. They're here because they care about Lily's welfare." "Are they?" The judge looked at Lily for the first time, really looked, and something in his expression shifted. "And where is the child supposed to sit during these proceedings?" "With my client, Your Honor." "Absolutely not. She sits with the court liaison. This isn't a family reunion, Ms. Reeves. It's a custody hearing." A woman in a CPS uniform appeared, gesturing for Lily to come with her. Lily's fingers dug into Brick's hand. "I want to stay with Brick." "I know, sweetheart, but—" "The child will sit with Mrs. Palmer," Judge Matthews said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "Now," Brick crouched down eye level with Lily. "It's okay. I'm right here. You can see me the whole time." "What if he says I have to go?" "Then we deal with it. But right now you need to be brave one more time." His hand touched her cheek just briefly. "Can you do that?" Lily nodded, not trusting her voice. Mrs. Palmer, a kind-faced woman who reminded Lily of the librarian at the shelter she used to visit, took her hand gently and led her to a chair off to the side. From there, Lily watched the battle begin. Beatrice's lawyer went first, painting a picture of a devoted foster mother torn apart by the abduction of her beloved child. He had photos: Beatrice smiling with other foster kids, Beatrice volunteering at a church, Beatrice looking maternal and caring in ways that made Lily's stomach turn. "Ms. Gower has dedicated her life to helping children in need," the lawyer said smoothly. "She opened her home to Lily after the child had been through 3 failed placements. She provided stability, structure, love." "Love," Lily whispered. Mrs. Palmer squeezed her hand. "And how was this love repaid?" The lawyer turned to face the judge. "The child ran away, fell in with street criminals. And when Ms. Gower tried to bring her home, she was blocked by a man with known ties to organized crime." "Objection!" Monica was on her feet. "Mr. Morrison has no criminal convictions on his record." "Expunged convictions, Your Honor, from when he was 19. Drug trafficking." Monica's jaw clenched. "Juvenile records that were sealed and expunged are not admissible. They are when assessing fitness for emergency custody." The lawyer smiled. "And they paint a picture of a dangerous individual with a history of violence and illegal activity." Judge Matthews made a note. "Continue." "Furthermore, Your Honor, we have evidence that Mr. Morrison is affiliated with the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, an organization that has been investigated by federal authorities for racketeering, weapons trafficking, and assault. This is not speculation. This is documented fact." Brick's hands curled into fists on the table. Monica put a hand on his arm, a silent warning. "The night Lily was taken," the lawyer continued, 2 men were assaulted in an alley behind Murphy's Bar. Those men are now missing. Mr. Morrison was present at the scene. Members of his motorcycle club were seen taking the men away in a van. And now, conveniently, those men cannot testify to what actually happened. "Your Honor, there is zero evidence connecting my client to any crime," Monica said sharply. "The police questioned him and released him without charges." "Released without charges yet," the lawyer corrected. "The investigation is ongoing. But the pattern is clear. Violence follows Mr. Morrison. And now he has a vulnerable child in his care." Lily watched Brick's face, saw him struggling to stay calm, saw the truth in what the lawyer was saying, even if the spin was wrong. The club had made Dex and Slade disappear. They had used violence, and now it was being used as a weapon against them. "Ms. Reeves," Judge Matthews said, "what evidence do you have that Ms. Gower is unfit?" Monica stood, pulling out a thick folder. "Substantial evidence, Your Honor. Bank records showing misappropriation of foster care funds, medical records indicating untreated injuries, testimony from former foster children describing abuse, and Lily's own statement detailing months of neglect and physical punishment. A child's statement which could have been coerced. She has bruises, Your Honor, scars, physical evidence of abuse, which could have occurred on the streets during the 2 months she was missing. The judge leaned back. You see the problem, Ms. Reeves. We have competing narratives and precious little objective proof. We have bank records, which show questionable bookkeeping at worst, not definitive proof of abuse. He looked at Beatrice, who was dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Ms. Gower, would you like to address the court? Beatrice stood, her voice trembling. Your Honor, I loved Lily like my own daughter. When she ran away, I was devastated. I reported her missing immediately. I cooperated with police. I never stopped looking for her. Lily's hands clenched so hard her nails drew blood. Mrs. Palmer noticed and gently pried her fingers open. The things she's saying about me, the closet, the belt, the starvation, none of it is true. Beatrice's voice broke convincingly. She was a troubled child when she came to me. Angry, acting out. I tried everything to help her, but she wouldn't accept discipline. She wouldn't follow rules. You locked me in the dark, Lily said, her voice barely audible. Judge Matthews looked at her. What did you say? She locked me in their closet in the dark. Lily's voice got stronger. For hours, sometimes all night, and she did it because I asked for food. Your Honor, the child is clearly traumatized. Let her speak. The judge's voice cut through the room. Lily, come here. Mrs. Palmer helped her stand. Lily walked to the front on shaking legs, very aware of every eye in the room on her. Brick gave her a small nod. Beatrice's face was a mask of concern that didn't reach her eyes. Tell me about the closet, Judge Matthews said, not unkindly. Lily took a breath. It was in the hallway. No light. She put me in there when I was bad. What did she consider bad? Talking too loud, not cleaning right, asking for seconds at dinner. Lily's voice wavered. I was hungry all the time. She got money for me, for food and clothes and things, but she never used it on me. That's not true, Beatrice protested. I provided everything she needed. You went to Hawaii, Lily interrupted, looking at her foster mother for the first time. While I was eating bread, you threw away. While I was sleeping in a closet, you went to Hawaii. The courtroom went silent. Beatrice's lawyer stood quickly. Your Honor, this is hearsay. It's documented fact, Monica said, pulling out printouts. Resort reservations, plane tickets, credit card statements, all dated during the time Lily was in her care. $10,000 spent on a 2-week vacation while her foster child wore clothes from Goodwill and went to bed hungry. Judge Matthews took the papers, scanning them. His expression grew colder with each page. Ms. Gower, how do you explain this? It was a work conference for my business. Your business being, I'm a consultant. For what company? Beatrice faltered. I work independently. Your tax returns for the past 3 years show no income from consulting, Monica said. In fact, they show no income at all except foster care stipends. The lawyer was sweating now. Your Honor, this is turning into a financial audit. No, this is turning into fraud investigation. Judge Matthews set down the papers. Ms. Gower, did you or did you not use state funds intended for Lily's care to pay for personal expenses? I provided for her. Answer the question. Yes or no? Beatrice's mask slipped just for a second, just long enough for everyone to see the calculation behind her eyes. Sometimes the funds got mixed. It wasn't intentional. Mixed. The judge's voice was ice. You mixed foster care money with personal money and accidentally spent it on luxury vacations. I was going to pay it back when after the next child, after the next 10 children, he looked at Monica. How many foster placements has Ms. Gower had in the past 3 years? 8, Your Honor, all short-term. Most of the children ran away, just like Lily. I see. Judge Matthews turned to Sandra Vick, who'd been sitting quietly in the back. Ms. Vick, were you aware of this pattern? Sandra stood looking uncomfortable. Some concerns were raised, Your Honor, but without concrete evidence. Without concrete evidence or without the will to investigate. Your Honor, our department is understaffed and overwhelmed. That's not an excuse for allowing children to be abused. His voice cut like a knife. How many kids have to run away before someone asks why? The courtroom was deadly silent now. Lily watched Beatrice's face, saw the moment the woman realized she'd lost, saw the fake tears dry up and the hard, mean expressions she knew so well take their place. This is ridiculous, Beatrice snapped. That child is a liar. She's manipulative. She's playing all of you. Enough. Judge Matthews' hand came down on the bench. I've heard enough from you, Ms. Gower. In fact, I've heard more than enough. Your Honor, her lawyer tried. If we could just… Sit down, counselor. I'm not done. The judge turned to Lily. Lily, I'm going to ask you a question, and I need you to tell me the truth. Do you want to stay with Mr. Morrison? Yes. Why? Because he makes me feel safe. Because he keeps his promises. Because he looks at me like I matter. Lily's voice broke. Because nobody else ever did. Judge Matthews was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at Brick. Mr. Morrison, stand up. Brick stood, his face unreadable. I don't like motorcycle clubs. I don't like men who think they're above the law, and I especially don't like being surrounded by bikers as a show of force. The judge's eyes were hard. That being said, I like child abusers even less. Hope flickered in Lily's chest. Ms. Gower, the protective order against you is hereby extended indefinitely. You are to have no contact with Lily Harper, no calls, no letters, no visits. Furthermore, I'm referring your case to the district attorney for investigation into foster care fraud and child endangerment. Beatrice's face went white. You can't. I can, and I am. Bailiff, please escort Ms. Gower out of my courtroom. The bailiff moved forward. Beatrice jerked away from him, her eyes locked on Lily with pure hatred. This isn't over, she hissed. You think you're safe with these criminals? You're not. They'll get borscht of you. They'll throw you away, just like everyone else. Get her out, Judge Matthews ordered, and the bailiff grabbed Beatrice's arm, pulling her toward the door. She fought screaming obscenities, all pretense of the caring foster mother gone. Lily watched her go, feeling nothing but relief. The judge turned back to Brick. Now, Mr. Morrison, don't think you are walking out of here without conditions. I'm granting you temporary custody pending full home study and background investigation. You'll report to CPS weekly. Lily will attend counseling. You will maintain stable employment and housing. And if I hear even a whisper that you've involved this child in club business, I will personally see to it that she's removed from your care so fast your head will spin. Are we clear? Crystal, Your Honor. Good. Ms. Vick, you'll conduct surprise home visits monthly. I want reports on my desk. He looked at Lily one more time, his expression softening just slightly. You're a very brave young lady, braver than most adults I know. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me yet. You've got a long road ahead, but at least now you'll have someone walking it with you. He banged his gavel. This court is adjourned. For a second, nobody moved. Then Lily was running shoulder-be-damned straight into Brick's arms. He caught her lifting her up carefully, and she buried her face in his neck and finally let herself cry. Not sad tears, not scared tears. Relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. We won, she sobbed. We actually won. Told you, Brick's voice was rough. Told you we would. Monica was packing up her files, trying to hide a smile. Don't celebrate too much. We've still got 6 months of supervision and evaluations. We'll pass them, Doc said, appearing at Brick's elbow. Every single one. Outside, the news crews were swarming, cameras pointed at the courthouse doors. The Hells Angels had formed a corridor, keeping the reporters back. As Brick carried Lily out, every single club member straightened, a gesture of respect that needed no words. Hammer caught Brick's eye. She's staying? She's staying. A cheer went up from the assembled bikers, loud enough to make the news crews jump. Someone started a bike, then another, until the sound was deafening, a roar of engines that sounded like triumph. Lily lifted her head from Brick's shoulder, looking at the sea of leather and patches and hard faces that had gone soft looking at her. Why do they care so much, she asked Brick. They don't even know me. They know you saved Buster. They know you're brave. That's enough. He set her down carefully, his hand still on her shoulder. And they know what it's like to be thrown away by a system that doesn't care. Every man here has a story. A lot of them aren't pretty, but we take care of our own, and you're ours now. Crystal appeared with Buster on a leash. The dog went crazy when he saw Lily, tail wagging so hard his whole body shook. Hey, boy, Lily said, kneeling down. Buster licked her face, whining happily. We get to stay together. All of us. Damn right you do. Crystal's eyes were suspiciously bright. Now let's get you out of here before these vultures ask any questions you shouldn't answer. The drive back to the house was surreal. The same escort of motorcycles, but this time the mood was celebration instead of preparation for war. Bikes peeled off one by one as they got closer, riders waving or giving thumbs up before heading to their own homes. By the time they pulled into the driveway, it was just Brick, Lily, Doc, Crystal, and Buster. I'll do a final check on that shoulder, Doc said, grabbing his medical bag. Make sure all the excitement didn't undo anything. Inside the house still smelled new and temporary, but it was theirs, for 6 months at least, maybe longer if they played by the rules. Lily sat on the couch while Doc examined her shoulder, prodding gently. Healing nicely. Keep up with the exercises I showed you. He repacked his bag. You did good today, kiddo, real good. I was scared. Being scared doesn't mean you're not brave. It means you're smart enough to understand what's at stake. He stood. I'm going to head out. Brick, call me if you need anything. Will do. Crystal stayed long enough to make sure there was food in the fridge and that Lily's medications were properly labeled. I'll check in tomorrow. Maybe bring more clothes. You're going to grow out of these in about 5 minutes. Thank you, Lily said, for everything. Hey, your family. That's what family does. Crystal ruffled her hair. Now get some rest. You've earned it. When they were finally alone, Brick collapsed onto the couch beside Lily. That was the most stressful 6 hours of my life. Mine too. Yeah, but you handled it like a champ. He looked at her. I'm proud of you. The words hit harder than Lily expected. When was the last time someone had said they were proud of her? When was the last time she'd done anything worth being proud of? I'm proud of you too, she said quietly. You changed your whole life for me. Cut your hair, wore khakis, got a fake construction job. Not fake. I actually have to show up now. Brick grimaced. Gonna have to learn what a 2x4 is. Despite everything, Lily laughed. It felt foreign, that sound coming from her throat, but it also felt good. What happens now? She asked. Now we figure out what normal looks like. Brick's hand found hers. You start counseling next week. Monica already set it up. And we need to enroll you in school eventually, but we can wait on that until you're ready. I don't know how to be normal. Me neither, but we'll figure it out together. Lily looked around the house at the furniture that was still too new. The walls that didn't have pictures yet, the empty shelves waiting to be filled. It didn't feel like home. Not yet, but it felt like it could be. Can I ask you something always? Your daughter, the one who disappeared. Lily hesitated. Do you think about her when you look at me? Brick was quiet for a long moment. Sometimes, but not the way you think. You're not a replacement for her, Lily. You're your own person, your own story. He squeezed her hand. If I ever find her, if she ever comes back, there's room in my life for both of you. You understand? I think so. Good, because I need you to know something. Brick turned to face her fully. These next 6 months are going to be hard. CPS is going to watch us like hawks. The club's going to have to keep distance to avoid giving the judge ammunition. You're going to have therapy appointments and home visits and people asking intrusive questions. I can handle it. I know you can, but you shouldn't have to. His voice roughened. You're 4 years old. You should be worried about dolls and cartoons and whether your shoes light up right, not custody battles and court dates and proving you deserve to be safe. I'm almost 5. Still, Brick rubbed his face. Point is, I'm going to do everything I can to make the next 6 months as easy as possible. And after that, if you want, we'll make this permanent. Legal adoption. Your last name can be Morrison if you want it. Lily's breath caught. Really? Really, but only if you want. No pressure, no rush. We've got time to figure it out. Lily Morrison, she said softly, testing how it sounded. That sounds nice. Yeah. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, Buster snoring at their feet, the afternoon sun streaming through windows that nobody had bothered to cover with curtains yet. Finally, Lily spoke again. What happened to the men Dex and Slade? Brick stiffened slightly. You don't need to worry about them. Are they dead? No, but they're not coming back. No! Brick chose his words carefully. They're somewhere far away thinking very hard about their life choices. And if they're smart, they'll stay there. Good. Lily felt no guilt saying it. They were going to kill Buster. They were going to kill me. I know. Do you think that makes me bad? That I'm glad they're gone? No, sweetheart. It makes you human. Brick's arm came around her shoulders, careful of her injury. You're allowed to be glad that people who hurt you can't hurt you anymore. That doesn't make you bad. It makes you a survivor. Lily thought about that, about all the things she'd survived. The crash that killed her parents, the foster homes, the streets, Beatrice, the pipe. She'd survived all of it. And now finally she had a chance to do more than just survive. I'm tired, she said. Yeah, I bet. Go take a nap. I'll wake you for dinner. Lily stood Buster immediately following her. She made it to the stairs before turning back. Brick, yeah, thank you for not giving up on me. His eyes got bright. Never. Not in a million years. Lily went upstairs to her room not a closet, not a shelter cot, not a piece of cardboard in an alley, and lay down on a bed that was hers. Buster jumped up beside her, and she buried her fingers in his fur. Through the floorboards, she could hear Brick moving around downstairs, making phone calls probably, checking in with the club, doing whatever needed to be done to keep the fragile life they'd built from falling apart. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in memory, she didn't dream of running. She dreamed of staying. When Lily woke, it was dark outside, and voices were drifting up from downstairs. Not angry voices, but serious ones. She sat up carefully listening. Can't keep this up for 6 months, someone was saying. It sounded like Hammer. The club needs you, Brick. We've got business in Tacoma next week, and you're supposed to... I can't, Brick said flatly. You heard the judge. Any hint of club activity around Lily, and she's gone. So what, you're just out? For half a year. If that's what it takes, that's not how this works. You're vice president. You've got responsibilities. And now I've got a kid. She comes first. Silence. Then Hammer's voice quieter. You sure about this? About all of it? Yeah, I am. Because it's one thing to save a kid in an emergency. It's another to raise one. For years. Maybe forever. I know what I signed up for. Do you... Because kids aren't motorcycles, Brick. You can't just tune them up and park them in the garage when you're done. They need constant attention. School and doctors and parent-teacher conferences and all that suburban bullshit you hate. Then I'll learn to like it. More silence. Lily held her breath. You really care about her, Hammer said finally. This isn't just guilt about your daughter. No, it's not. Brick's voice was rough. She reminds me what I'm supposed to be protecting. All those years running with the club, doing what needed to be done, it was supposed to be about protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. But somewhere along the way, it became about territory and money and respect. When did we stop being the good guys? We were never the good guys. Maybe not, but we could be better guys. A chair scraped. Lily stood between a steel pipe and my dog without thinking twice. 4 years old, and she's braver than most men I know. If she can be that brave, I can wear khakis and show up to a construction job. Hammer laughed, but it sounded sad. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. Then I guess we'll figure it out. Club can manage without their VP for a while. Footsteps moving toward the door. But Brick, when this is over, when she's safe and legal and yours, you better bring her to a club meeting. Let her meet the family properly. She already met them, on the courthouse steps. That was different. That was business. Hammer's voice got softer. I want her to see the good parts. The barbecues, the toy drives, the reasons we do this. Yeah, okay. The door opened and closed. Lily heard Brick moving around, probably cleaning up. She should go back to sleep, should pretend she hadn't heard. But she didn't want to. She got up, Buster trailing behind her, and went downstairs. Brick was at the kitchen table, paperwork spread out in front of him. Thought you were sleeping. Heard voices. Sorry, didn't mean to wake you. Lily sat down across from him. You're giving up the club for me. Brick looked up sharply. You were listening. I didn't mean to, but I heard. She played with the edge of a paper. You don't have to do that. I know. But you're going to anyway. Yeah. Why? Because you matter more. He said it simply like it was the most obvious thing in the world. The club's been my family for 20 years, but families change, priorities change, and right now my priority is making sure you're safe and happy and never have to eat dumpster bread again. Lily's throat burned. What if I mess up? What if I'm not worth it? You're already worth it, and you can't mess up bad enough to change my mind. Brick reached across the table, his big hand dwarfing hers. I'm in this, Lily, all the way. Whatever happens, we're in it together. Promise, promise. Buster whined, pushing his nose under Lily's hand. She scratched his ears absently, looking at the paperwork covering the table. What's all this? Stuff I have to file with CPS. Proof of income, housing agreement, medical records. He grimaced. Bureaucracy. Can I help? You know how to file bureaucracy. No, but I can keep you company. Brick smiled, and it reached his eyes this time. Yeah, you can. They worked in silence for a while, Brick filling out forms while Lily organized papers into piles. It was boring normal work, the kind of thing families probably did all the time. And for the first time in her life, Lily Harper felt like she was part of one. 3 weeks later, Sandra Vick showed up unannounced at 7 in the morning. Lily was eating cereal at the kitchen table, still in her pajamas, when the doorbell rang. Buster barked once before Brick shushed him. Through the window, Lily saw the CPS van, and her stomach dropped. It's okay, Brick said, though his voice was tight. This is normal. Remember what Monica said, surprise visits are part of the deal. He opened the door. Sandra stood there with her clipboard and tired eyes taking in Brick's worn jeans and coffee-stained shirt, Lily's mismatched pajamas, the breakfast dishes still on the table. Mr. Morrison, Lily, mind if I come in? Course not. Brick stepped aside. Coffee, please. Sandra walked through the house, slowly opening cupboards, checking the fridge, looking in closets. Lily watched her heart pounding. What if she found something wrong? What if the house wasn't clean enough, or organized enough, or whatever enough to pass? Lily, can you show me your room? Sandra asked. They climbed the stairs together, Buster trailing behind. Lily's room was still mostly empty, a bed, a dresser. Crystal had brought over some clothes. But there were new things, too. A stuffed bear Doc had given her, a nightlight shaped like a moon, books from the library that Brick read to her before bed. Sandra made notes. You like it here? Yes, ma'am. Brick treating you okay? Better than okay. He ever get angry, yell at you? Lily thought about 2 days ago when she'd accidentally broken a glass. She'd flinched waiting for the hit that didn't come. Brick had just cleaned it up and told her accidents happen. No, ma'am, he doesn't yell. What about his friends, the motorcycle club? They don't come here. Brick said it's better if they don't until after the 6 months. Sandra's eyebrows rose slightly. He told you that? He doesn't lie to me. He says I'm old enough to understand what's happening. More notes. Sandra sat on the edge of Lily's bed. You know you can tell me if something's wrong, right? If you're scared or uncomfortable or, I know, but nothing's wrong. Lily met her eyes. For the first time in my whole life, nothing's wrong. Sandra's expression softened. Okay, I believe you. They went back downstairs where Brick was pretending to read the newspaper, but was clearly on edge. Sandra accepted the coffee he offered and sat at the table. Employment status. Working construction, 40 hours a week. Brick pulled out pay stubs. Started 3 weeks ago like I said I would. And you're managing childcare, how? Crystal watches her when I'm at work. Sometimes Doc. The same Crystal and Doc from the motorcycle club. Brick's jaw tightened. They're my family. They've passed background checks. They're good with kids. I'm sure they are, but the judge was very clear about club involvement. They're not involving her in club business. They're babysitting. There's a difference. Sandra made a note that looked ominous. We'll discuss that with the judge at the next hearing. When is that? 3 months, assuming everything continues to go well. She finished her coffee. Lily, would you mind going upstairs for a minute? I need to talk to Mr. Morrison privately. Lily's chest tightened, but she nodded, heading upstairs with Buster. She sat on her bed, trying not to listen, but hearing everything anyway through the thin floor. She seems well adjusted, Sandra was saying. Better than I expected, honestly. She's tough. She shouldn't have to be. A pause. Mr. Morrison, I'm going to be frank with you. When I first got this case, I thought you were a disaster waiting to happen. Motorcycle gang member, expunged record, no experience with kids. I was ready to pull her the second I had cause. Lily held her breath. But you've done everything we asked and more. The house is safe. She's fed, clothed, clearly cared for. You show up to every appointment, file every report on time, follow every rule. Sandra's voice got quieter. So why do I still feel like you're hiding something? I'm not hiding anything. The two men from the alley, Dex and Slade, they're still missing. That's got nothing to do with me. The van used to transport them was registered to a shell company with ties to the Hells Angels. Still nothing to do with me. Mr. Morrison. Look, Brick's voice was hard now. I don't know where those men are. I don't care where they are. What I care about is that they're not here hurting Lily or anyone else. If that makes me a suspect in something, fine. Investigate away. But don't pretend their disappearance is a bad thing. Silence. Then Sandra's chair scraped. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Keep doing what you're doing. The door closed. Lily heard Brick let out a long breath before calling up the stairs. She's gone. You can come down. Lily found him slumped at the table looking exhausted. Did we pass? For now. He rubbed his face. But she's digging into the Dex and Slade thing. That could be a problem. Will they find them? Not where they are. Brick looked at her. But the investigation could drag this out, make the judge nervous. What do? We keep our heads down and play by the rules. That's all we can do. The doorbell rang again. Brick groaned. If that's Sandra coming back. But it wasn't Sandra. It was a courier with an envelope marked urgent. Brick signed for it, opened it, and his face went white. What is it? Subpoena. Beatrice's lawyer is demanding a new hearing. Says they have new evidence that I'm unfit. His hands shook slightly, holding the paper. The hearing's in 2 days. Lily felt the floor drop out from under her. What evidence? Doesn't say, but if they're calling for an emergency hearing, it's bad. Brick was on the phone immediately, calling Monica, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Lily sat at the table, Buster's head in her lap, listening to one side of the conversation. I don't know what they have. The subpoena doesn't specify. Pause. Yeah, I'll be there with Lily. Longer pause. No, I haven't been in contact with club business. I've followed every rule. There's nothing they could... He stopped. What do you mean unless someone talked? Lily's stomach twisted. Brick hung up slowly. Monica thinks someone might have given testimony. Someone who knows about club operations. Who would do that? I don't know, but we're going to find out. The next 2 days were agony. Brick made calls trying to figure out who might have talked and what they might have said. The club went on lockdown, nobody saying anything to anyone. Monica worked around the clock preparing for a hearing she didn't have full information on. And Lily tried not to think about going back to the system, back to strangers and closets and hunger. The morning of the hearing, Crystal came over early to help Lily get ready. She was quieter than usual, her movements almost mechanical. You okay? Lily asked as Crystal brushed her hair. Yeah, sweetie, just worried. About what? Crystal met her eyes in the mirror. About losing you. We all are. Brick said it'll be okay. Brick says a lot of things. Crystal's voice cracked. But sometimes things don't work out the way we want, no matter how hard we fight. You think the judge is going to take me away? I think Beatrice is desperate, and desperate people do terrible things. Crystal set down the brush. But whatever happens in that courtroom, you remember something. You've got 200 people who love you, who'll fight for you, who'll never stop fighting. Lily's throat burned. Even if I have to leave. Especially then. The courthouse was packed again, but this time the atmosphere was different. Tense, angry. The Hells Angels were there, but they looked grim, like soldiers preparing for a battle they might lose. Inside the courtroom, Judge Matthews was already seated, his expression unreadable. Beatrice sat with her lawyer looking smug. That scared Lily more than anything. Monica leaned over to Brick. Whatever they have, it's good. Look at her face. We're about to find out. Brick squeezed Lily's hand once before Mrs. Palmer came to take her to the side chair. Beatrice's lawyer stood all polish and confidence. Your Honor, we appreciate the court's willingness to hear this matter on short notice. However, we've received information that fundamentally changes the nature of this case. What information? Judge Matthews asked. Evidence that Mr. Morrison has continued his association with the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club despite court orders to the contrary. Evidence that he has exposed Lily to criminal activity, and evidence that he was directly involved in the disappearance of Dex Holman and Slade Carpenter. The courtroom erupted. Judge Matthews banged his gavel. "Order, I will have order." The noise died down. Monica was on her feet. "Your Honor, these are serious allegations. We demand to see this so-called evidence." "As you wish." The lawyer pulled out a folder. "We have photographs of Mr. Morrison at a known Hells Angels clubhouse 3 days ago. We have testimony from a confidential informant placing him at the scene when Holman and Carpenter were abducted, and we have phone records showing continued contact with known criminals." He spread photos across the table. Lily couldn't see them clearly from where she sat, but she saw Brick's face go gray. "Mr. Morrison, care to explain these photos?" Judge Matthews asked, his voice cold. Brick stood slowly. "Your Honor, I can explain." "I'm sure you can, but first let's hear from the informant." The judge looked at the lawyer. "You said you have testimony." "We do, and the witness is here ready to testify." The courtroom doors opened. A man walked in wearing jeans and a leather jacket, his face familiar in a way that made Lily's skin crawl. It was Tiny, one of Brick's club brothers, the man who'd helped drag Dex and Slade into the van. Brick's face went from gray to white. "You son of a..." "Mr. Morrison, sit down," Judge Matthews ordered. "He's lying. Whatever he's going to say, he's lying. Sit down now." Brick sat his hands clenched into fists. Tiny didn't look at him, didn't look at anyone except the lawyer who'd clearly paid him to be there. "State your name for the record," the lawyer said. "Marcus Chen. People call me Tiny. And you're a member of the Hells Angels." "Was. I left 3 weeks ago. Got tired of the life." Lily knew that was a lie. Nobody just left the club. Especially not Tiny, who'd been a member for 15 years. "Tell the court what you witnessed on the night of November 2nd. Tiny took a breath. "I was at Murphy's bar when Mr. Morrison called and said his dog was being stolen. Me and Hammer went to help. When we got there, 2 guys were on the ground beaten pretty bad. A little girl was there too, crying hurt." "What happened next?" "Brick told us to take the 2 guys somewhere they wouldn't be found. Said they'd hurt the kid and they needed to pay." Tiny's voice was flat rehearsed. "We took them to an abandoned warehouse in Ravenna. Brick came later. He was the one who gave the orders about what to do with them." "What orders?" "To make sure they never came back to Seattle. To make sure they couldn't testify about what happened." The courtroom exploded again. Lily felt like she couldn't breathe. This wasn't true. Couldn't be true. But Tiny kept talking. "Since then, Brick's been using the kid as cover, pretending to be clean while still running club business. I've got phone records, meetings at the clubhouse, everything." Monica was arguing, Brick was shouting, the judge was banging his gavel. Through it all, Lily watched Tiny's face and saw no remorse, no hesitation. Someone had gotten to him, promised him something, money probably, or immunity from prosecution, and he'd sold them out. Judge Matthews finally got control of the courtroom. "Mrs. Reeves, do you have anything to refute this testimony?" "Your Honor, this man is clearly lying to save his own skin." "Do you have proof he's lying?" Monica faltered. "Not yet, but given time..." "I don't have time. I have a child whose safety is at stake." The judge looked at Lily and his expression was troubled. "Based on this new testimony, I have serious concerns about Mr. Morrison's fitness as a guardian." "No." The word ripped out of Lily's throat before she could stop it. "No, it's not true." "Lily, please." "Tiny's lying. He's lying because someone paid him." She was on her feet now, Mrs. Palmer trying to hold her back. "Brick didn't do those things. He saved me. He's the only person who's ever kept a promise." "Young lady, I understand you're upset." "You don't understand anything." Tears were streaming down her face. "You're just like all the other adults who don't listen. Beatrice said she'd take care of me, and she locked me in a closet. The caseworker said they'd help, and they sent me back. Brick said he'd protect me, and he did. He's the only one who did." Judge Matthews looked pained. "Lily, even if Mr. Morrison's intentions were good, the law is clear. He cannot remain your guardian if he's involved in criminal activity." "Then the law is stupid." "That's enough." The judge's voice hardened. "Mrs. Palmer, please remove Lily from the courtroom." "No, no, please." Lily fought as Mrs. Palmer tried to lead her away. "You can't do this. You can't." She saw Brick standing, saw him trying to get to her, saw security moving to block him, And then she was in the hallway, the courtroom door closing, Mrs. Palmer's arms around her while she sobbed. "It's not fair," she choked out. "It's not fair." "I know, sweetheart. I know." Through the door, Lily could hear muffled voices, the hearing continuing without her. Her fate being decided by people who didn't know her, didn't care about her, just wanted to follow rules that were supposed to protect her, but never did. The door opened. Monica came out, her face devastated. "What happened?" Mrs. Palmer asked. "The judge is removing Lily from Brick's custody effective immediately. She's to be placed in emergency foster care pending full investigation." Monica's voice was hollow. "We lost." Lily's knees gave out. Mrs. Palmer caught her, held her while the world fell apart. "Where's Brick?" "Being detained." Monica swallowed hard. "He tried to leave with Lily. Security had to restrain him." "Of course he did. Of course he tried. Because that's what he'd promised. That's what he'd said he'd do." "I need to see him," Lily said. "That's not—" "Please, just for a minute. Please." Monica and Mrs. Palmer exchanged glances. Finally, Monica nodded. "1 minute, that's all they'll allow." They led Lily to a small room where Brick sat with 2 security guards standing watch. His face was bruised, he'd fought them, and his eyes were red. "Lily." She ran to him. He caught her, holding tight despite the guards moving forward. "It's okay," one guard said quietly. "Give them a minute." Brick buried his face in Lily's hair. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I tried to—" I know you tried." Lily was crying too hard to see. "It's not your fault. I'm going to fix this. I swear to God I'm going to fix this." "How?" "I don't know yet, but I will." He pulled back, looking at her with fierce intensity. "You listen to me. Wherever they send you, whatever happens, you don't give up. You hear me? You survived 2 years on the street. You can survive this." "I don't want to survive. I want to stay with you." "I know, baby, I know." His voice broke. "But right now you have to be brave one more time." "I'm tired of being brave." "I know. Me too." He touched her face. "But we're going to get through this. Both of us. And when it's over, I'm going to adopt you properly. Legal, permanent. Nobody will ever be able to take you away again. Promise, promise." The door opened. Sandra Vick stood there with another CPS worker. "It's time, Lily." "No, not yet." Lily clung to Brick. "Please, just 5 more minutes." "We can't. I'm sorry." The guards moved in, gently pulling Lily away. She fought, screaming, reaching for Brick, who was being held back by both guards now. "Don't take her. Please don't take her." "Brick," Lily's voice was raw. "Brick, please. I'll find you. I promise I'll find you." Then she was in the hallway, being carried by people she didn't know, taken to a van that would drive her to another temporary home with another temporary family who would take state money and give nothing back. The last thing she saw was Brick on his knees, held down by security, his face twisted in anguish as she was taken away. The new foster home was in Bellevue, 40 minutes from Seattle. The family was older, Mr. and Mrs. Patterson, both retired, both trying hard to be kind. They had a nice house with a garden and a guest room that was clearly meant for grandchildren who never visited. Lily sat on the bed and stared at nothing. "Dinner's in an hour," Mrs. Patterson said gently. "Would you like to come down and meet our dog?" "No, thank you." "Are you sure? She's very friendly. Her name is Daisy." "I said no." Mrs. Patterson left her alone. Lily heard her downstairs talking to her husband in low voices about trauma and patience and giving her time. Time. Like that was all she needed. Like time would make her forget Brick's face as they dragged her away. Like time would make this okay. It wouldn't. 3 days passed in a fog. Lily barely ate, barely spoke, just lay on the bed in the room that smelled like lavender and stared at the ceiling, counting the hours until anyone came to tell her this was a mistake. On the 4th day, Mrs. Patterson knocked softly. "Lily, you have a visitor." Lily's heart leaped. Brick. It had to be Brick. He'd figured it out, fixed it, come to get her. But it was Crystal who walked through the door looking tired and sad. "Hey, sweetheart." Lily's hope crashed. "Where's Brick?" "Dealing with lawyers, trying to figure out next steps." Crystal sat on the edge of the bed. "He wanted to come himself, but they won't let him near you until the investigation is complete." "When will that be?" "Could be weeks, could be months." Crystal's voice was gentle. "But he's not giving up. None of us are." Tiny lied about him. Yeah, we figured that out. Turns out Beatrice's lawyer paid him 50 grand to testify. We've got proof now, but getting it admitted to court is complicated. So Brick's just stuck. For now. Crystal pulled out her phone, but he wanted me to give you this. She played a video. Brick's face filled the screen, looking exhausted but determined. Hey kiddo, I'm sorry I can't be there in person. They're making that real difficult right now. But I need you to know something. This isn't over. Monica's filing an appeal. We're exposing Tiny's testimony as perjury. We're going to prove that Beatrice orchestrated all of this to get you back. His jaw clenched. It is going to take time. More time than I want. But I'm not walking away. I'm never walking away. You're my daughter in every way that matters, and I'm going to make it legal if it takes the rest of my life. He leaned closer to the camera. So you hang in there. Be strong, be brave, and know that every single day I'm fighting for y'all. The whole club is fighting for you. You're not alone, Lily. You're never alone. The video ended. Lily stared at the blank screen, her chest tight. Can I watch it again? As many times as you want. Crystal handed her the phone. And I'll be back in 3 days. I'm on the approved visitor list, so they can't keep me away. What about Doc and Hammer? They're working on getting approved too. It's a process, but we're navigating it. Crystal touched Lily's hair. You've got a whole army pulling for you, kid. Don't forget that. After Crystal left, Lily watched the video 17 times. Memorized every word, every expression, every promise. And slowly, carefully, she started to hope again. The weeks that followed were a strange kind of limbo. The Pattersons were kind, but distant, treating Lily like a fragile thing that might break if handled wrong. Crystal visited twice a week and always bringing updates. Doc came once, checking her shoulder and slipping her candy when Mrs. Patterson wasn't looking. Even Hammer showed up, eventually looking deeply uncomfortable in the suburban setting, but determined to let Lily know she wasn't forgotten. But Brick couldn't come. The court order was clear, no contact until the investigation concluded. Then 6 weeks after she'd have been taken, Monica called the Pattersons' house. Put Lily on, she said, her voice vibrating with barely contained excitement. Lily took the phone with shaking hands. Hello. We got him. Got who? Tiny. The prosecutor charged him with perjury and bribery. He's facing 5 years. And in exchange for a reduced sentence, he's agreed to testify that Beatrice Gower's lawyer paid him to lie. Lily's breath caught. What does that mean? It means we're filing for an emergency hearing to reverse the custody decision. It means Brick's going to get you back. Monica's voice broke slightly. It means you're coming home, Lily. The hearing was set for the following week. This time when Lily walked into the courthouse, the Hells Angels weren't just on the steps, they lined the entire block. A silent, leather-clad testament to what family really meant. Judge Matthews looked older than Lily remembered, more tired. He listened as Monica presented the evidence, Tiny's confession bank records, showing the payment from Beatrice's lawyer phone records, proving the conspiracy. Beatrice's lawyer tried to fight it, but his arguments fell flat. Even he knew it was over. Ms. Gower, Judge Matthews said, his voice cold, you orchestrated perjury to regain custody of a child you abused. You bribed a witness. You manipulated this court. Your Honor, you only wanted the state money. Let's be clear about that. He shuffled papers. I'm referring your case to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. And I'm permanently terminating your foster care license. You will never have custody of a child again. Beatrice's face crumpled, but Lily felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just relief that it was finally truly over. The judge turned to Brick. Mr. Morrison, I owe you an apology. This court was deceived, and as a result, a child was unnecessarily traumatized. For that, I'm deeply sorry. Brick nodded stiffly. Just give her back to me. I'm doing more than that. Judge Matthews signed a document. I'm granting you full legal custody of Lily Harper effective immediately. The 6-month probationary period is waived. If you wish to pursue adoption, the court will fast-track the process. Lily couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Additionally, I'm ordering the state to compensate you for legal fees and ordering Ms. Gower to pay restitution for the emotional distress caused to the child. He banged his gavel. This case is closed. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Lily was running, crashing into Brick's arms so hard they both almost fell. He caught her, held her, his whole body shaking. I've got you, he said against her hair. I've got you, and I'm never letting go. Promise. Forever promise. Outside, the Hells Angels erupted in cheers, motorcycles revved. Someone started chanting Lily's name and soon the whole block picked it up. Crystal appeared with Buster on a leash. The dog went insane when he saw Lily tail wagging so hard he nearly fell over. "Hey boy," Lily said, dropping to her knees. "Did you miss me?" Buster licked her face, whining, his whole body vibrating with joy. Doc came over, his eyes suspiciously bright. "Welcome home, kiddo." "Is it really over?" "It's really over." He looked at Brick. "You did it, brother. You actually did it." "We did it," Brick corrected, gesturing to the crowd. "All of us." Hammer pushed through, lifting Lily up onto his shoulders despite her surprised yelp. "3 cheers for the bravest kid in Seattle." The crowd roared. Lily perched on Hammer's shoulders, looked down at Brick and saw him smiling, really smiling for the first time in weeks. "What happens now?" she asked when Hammer set her down. Now Brick knelt to her level. "Now we go home, real home, and we start the adoption paperwork. And we figure out what normal looks like for the Morrison family." "The Morrison family?" Lily tested the words. "I like that." Yeah. Brick stood, taking her hand. "Then let's go home." They walked to his truck through a corridor of bikers who'd become family past reporters, who'd become witnesses to something bigger than a custody battle, into a future that was finally impossibly theirs. 6 months later, Lily Harper officially became Lily Morrison in a courtroom ceremony attended by 200 Hells Angels, one very patient judge, and a pit bull named Buster who wore a bow tie for the occasion. She was 5 years old. She had a father who'd moved mountains to keep her. She had a family that wore leather and rode motorcycles and would fight the world for her without hesitation. She had a home. And for a child who'd survived homelessness, abuse, and a system that had failed her at every turn, that was everything. Because Lily Morrison had learned something that most people never understand. Family isn't about blood or biology or even time. It's about showing up. It's about keeping promises. It's about standing between a little girl and the world that wants to break her and saying, "Not on my watch." Brick had done that. The club had done that. They'd taken a broken, terrified child who saved a dog in an alley and given her something she thought she'd lost forever. They'd given her hope. And in return, Lily had given them something too, a reminder of why they wore the patches, why they rode together, why they called themselves brothers. She'd reminded them that beneath the leather and the reputation and the violence, they were protectors. That night at the celebration barbecue behind the clubhouse that Brick had said she could finally attend, Lily sat between her father and Buster, surrounded by dangerous men with soft hearts, and felt completely, absolutely safe. "You happy, kiddo?" Brick asked. Lily looked around at Crystal, laughing with Doc, at Hammer teaching some of the younger members how to properly flip burgers at Tiny's empty chair. That nobody mentioned, but everyone noticed. She thought about how far she'd come from that rainy alley, from the cold streets, from the closet and the belt and the endless hunger. She thought about second chances and found families and little girls who were brave enough to stand between evil and good, even when they were terrified. "Yeah," she said, leaning against Brick's paw, "I'm happy." And for the first time in her entire life, Lily Morrison meant it with every fiber of her being, because she'd finally found the one thing that had eluded her since the day her parents died. She'd found where she belonged, and nothing in this world was ever going to take that away from her again.